Next week is Infinity and 5 week, and we'll have 3 Operation Sandtrap battle packs to be won. We will choose 3 winners, 1 from the comments on our YouTube videos, 1 from the comments on OnTabletop.com, and 1 from our Cult of Games members, so you guys get an extra chance to win.
Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is time for the Weekender. This week's show is jam-packed full of fun and game and frivolity. We have some Halo news from Mantic, all about 2025 and what's coming for it. We check out some of the latest releases from Infinity with Potbelly, and we have a Moonstone multi-award winning Indie of the Week. So sit back, relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by John and Ben.
Hello.
Hi. Having fun.
I'm back, baby.
It's in the Spoopy-tober. Yeah, people will see that there's actually rhyme and reason to the show rather than my wettering. That's how you can tell. That's how you can tell you're here. There's a structure.
It's been scrawled. This running on has been scrawled by a bird.
I take a spider, I dip it in ink, and then I flash a light in its face until it has an epileptic fit across the page, and that's my running order. It's just the bizarre menstruations of a spider going all over. Going, yep, that's what we're going with. But yeah, we've had a jam-packed couple of weeks with theme weeks aplenty. Now we've got to the end of a whole normal week where we can just relax and tell you that next week there's another themed week. So Potbelly are launching Infinity N5, the fifth of all the N's, which is coming at you like Cleopatra next week via the medium of sand traps. I'm assured it has nothing to do with a golf game in space from Carlos.
Nope.
Although, why call it sand trap if it's not about golf? You'll find out next week. There's a ton of videos coming. Him and Killian joined us in the studio to talk all about golfing, what they play off of. My handicap is playing golf. Yours may vary. So
when the next box comes out and it's Operation Bunker, then we know that it's golf.
Depending on if you're in the States, bunkers are called sand traps.
Oh, there you go.
Hence the golfingness of it all. So you too can pick up this and many other hints and tips about golfing in the Infinity universe next week
to help you get on par with N5.
Oh! Wow, 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 wow. Air horns.
Watch out for that.
That was a 9-iron comment right there.
Oh,
we'll have to drive that one home.
You're starting to sandwedge me up a bit here.
That's our show for this week. Hope you've enjoyed the pants. Bye. Right, anyway, yes. So, host of stuff coming from Monday through to Friday, because Potbelly hate us and want us to suffer. So it's not over the entire week. It's just over the working week. Gives you something to do when you're in work. Beats actually working for a living.
Working, lurking. Also, pre-orders will be up on Monday as well. So all the stuff that you'll see, in fact, later on in the show, will be up on Monday for you to dive in and get your hands on. So,
fancy smancy. We're not all about the theme weeks, though. We do stuff for ourselves and for hobby in amongst that. I mean, it's madness. Who would have thought it? But it is Spoopy-tober, which is the start of Terrain Fest. And you screamed, we listened, and we extended Terrain Fest beyond a month. So it's not just 1 month of mad panic as you desperately try and make hills for your tabletop. Now you've got 3 months, and unfortunately I seem to have extended it right through Dungeonalia. Oh, well, what do you? Never mind. Carry on. So if you are interested in getting involved, Warren doesn't know. If you're interested in getting involved with Terrain Fest, you can do this thing. You too can build, paint. I'm just reading the screen now. Share. That's good. Do that. Terrain. I mean, Terrain is very much at the heart of Terrain Fest, I would imagine. Yes. You can do all of this through the next 3 months. It'll keep you amused when the sun is down and the second international break before we've even hit 10 matches have kicked in. Not that I'm better. You can do that via the medium of our project system over at OnTableTop.com. And at the end of it, I think that date may be revised. That may go beyond 31st of December. We'll let you know. Work on the principle that is the minimum. It might stretch it. If I leave too much of a gap, you'll squeeze Dungeonelia in when I'm not looking. I need to stretch that. Anyway, you've got at least 3 months, is what we're saying, to build your terrain, get involved, and there could be a chance to win a big £300 voucher from Business Daddy, Waylaid Games, who will chuck it around there. You can buy all the bits and pieces that you'll never paint for the next year, which is good. And people have already been going
for a future spring clean challenge.
Oh yeah. Get involved in your spring clean challenge immediately by buying stuff you won't paint for a year. But people have already been in there doing the do. Look, there's a landscaping gaming table one which is currently private, so you won't get to see that, but I can. I feel like opening that now. So people have already been kicking off because we've been running for a week or so. Wow, there's some weird stuff there. Dan's Frostpunk terrain. What's Dan been up to? Santa Claus is coming to Moonstone. Oh, please be something in here.
Don't distract
Mr. Stu. Don't tease me. I'll have you, son. I will have you. Anyway, what was in the last?
It's a Christmas surprise. You've got to wait.
Oh, Paganith is doing stuff. I've got that as well. That's the Archon stuff. You get to see that later on whenever he finally publishes that and makes it public. But all right now, because now it's just the start of Terrain Fest.
Abusing our position of power.
I'm drunk with power. I wish I was drunk with alcohol, though. That would be better. But that'll have to come later on. It is, after all, only 7 o'clock on a Friday.
Definitely.
All right, enough of that. N5 next week, Terrain Fest next 3 months plus. And right now, it's time to kick into the show properly with the Indie of the Week. And this week, it is the multi-award winning Moonstone. Yay! Yay! Everybody loves that.
I'd like to point out... You're
going to Moonstone everything, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to point out that before we shot this, I said, I've got a cool idea for what we could cover. And Jeremy went, yeah, that'd be great for next week.
Next week. I mean, it would be great for that. I didn't have time to read it. I don't like to start clicking on things.
I could do it.
Yeah, you could. That is true.
Yeah, we'll see.
But you do so much, Ben. I like to take some of the weight off your shoulders.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so nice.
I'm very nice. People don't understand just how nice I am.
Let's get on with your nonsense.
It's not nonsense. I will cut you. There's a very good reason why we're doing the multi-award winning Moonstone. And I've been holding back on this for a while. I know we've done it previously. I'm sure somebody will point this out. Likewise, people often point out things we should do, and then I go, but we've done them. You're not paying attention, people. Anyway, they launched a new website several months ago, or rather redesigned the website they had. But I knew the Shades of Moonreach were coming, which was the fourth faction, the Undead. So I thought, we'll wait and we'll show people the game as it currently is, with all bells and whistles, and the new website with more stuff in it, because they've done an awful lot. Now, the site is technically 2 different sites. When I click onto shop, it goes to a whole other place where you buy things. But right now, I thought the best way to introduce people to Moonstone is via the website, because they've done a ton of work, even before it was becoming all multi-award winning. Boom, boom, which, by the way, comes up on Google searches now. So clearly I'm having an impact, which is good. It is a fantasy skirmish game set within the world of Tauber. I keep calling it the world of Tauber. Technically, Tauber is a continent and they may expand off that at some point in the future. We don't know. They've left it open. It is a fantasy world. Yes, the realm. And within that realm, there are various factions, not races per se, because races can slot into various factions, but the factions themselves are there for a reason. And the idea is you have to collect moonstones, which crop up at night. Wizards of a tower are very, very fond of moonstones for reasons that nobody really knew, but they knew if you got them back before they evaporated in daylight, the wizards would give you big bags of cash. And so they'd be doing this for quite some time. And then in the last book, we discovered why that was happening. And, it was a doozy. I'll let people discover that in their own time, though. But ignoring the miniatures, ignoring the game itself for a moment, the website redesign is fantastic. And I think any company out there that's just trying to launch themselves, this is a prime example of how to do it not just well, but absolutely superbly, which is why I let it populate for a little while. Mm-hmm. Because when you're trying to get people into a game, they will often have questions. And, you're going, well, here's this fantasy game. And then they'll start to go, what's it about? How's it play? What are the factions? Blah, 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 blah. And this is all broken down to an intricate level, actually. So the background itself of Moonstone, the gameplay that's involved, how it uses the cards. So there are dice involved. You've got a D6 to roll for initiative at the start of the game or for scenarios. Cool. And then you can chuck that D6 to the curb, and you've got D4 that are used for the actual objectives in the game that you drop on the board. And then after that, everything else is done via 2 decks of cards, both a melee deck, which is all based off HEMA, so European historical martial arts fighting, and then an arcane deck, which is used for magic and shooting. It means you're never having to worry about the roll of a die coming up terribly. Instead, what you're doing is bluffing and playing your opponent. So your opponent might know that a certain card is good for you, like a thrust, because then it allows your character to do a elaborate signature move. Therefore, you're looking at the cards you have in your hand and thinking, well, if he's got a thrust, the best counter for that is something else. Mm-hmm. But then you're thinking, well, he knows that the thrust is the best attack I have, and it goes Daffy Duck levels. If he's going to parry, then I'm going to thrust, which means he'll riposte. And you've got this back and forth where you're playing your opponent, not just the random act of a dice roll. Obviously, sometimes you won't have the cards in your hand for that, at which point, again, you're thinking, well, I can just bluff this one out, bullshit them and get in there, which is absolutely the best way to do things. But beyond the actual gameplay itself, you have how you build a troop. And we've mentioned this countless times. But the beauty of Moonstone is you can build whatever you want up to a troop limit. And so in most cases, a full game is 12 models on the table. And if that's a 2-player game, that's 6 aside. If all 3 of us were playing, we'd be running 4 models each. Everything is balanced beforehand by Tom and Joe and Susie and the other playtesters or whoever else is around there. So you don't have to go, oh, I really fancy fielding 5 trolls and a single goblin. Will that work? Oh, yeah, it will. It'll be terrible at some things, fantastic at others, but it's up to you to make it work. There's no restrictions on list building. It's just a case of how many models have you got and keep the faction the same. And some models will work for multiple factions. So there's no point system. It is just go for it. And if you want to play a slightly smaller game with a 2-player, the core boxes, the starter boxes that are available both have 4 models aside. So it gives you a 2/3 of a full faction essentially that you could add into. And then there's different bits and pieces. This explains all about your types of heroes and keywords and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, that's
this is leading.
Yeah.
It leads you through how to play the game. in no uncertain terms. And you can see here the likes of the cards, which are all double-sided. You get your abilities on one side and the signature move on the reverse, telling you what's going on. And for people wondering, the bottom bit is health, and the blue circles are energy. So as your health depletes, the amount of energy that you generate depletes, and they're plugged into characters in a different way on different cards. So you might find some have got a ton of health with all their energy stacked low, so they will always operate at full effectiveness until the very end. Other ones are a bit more spread out, like the Hoff here. He could take 4 wounds and would lose 1 energy, whereas
that's exactly what he used to say when he was riding around.
Yeah. Whereas Gimbal here, 3 wounds wouldn't remove any energy from her, but then all 3 are stacked very low and they've got less health. So the building is fascinating. But if we look into any of the factions, let's pick La Chevalte, the best faction, and I know one that John has. But they've done.
I may not be on the shop page on the other monitor.
No, don't worry about it. We're all fine here. All of the factions are broken down. So currently 4: Dominion, Commonwealth, La Chevalte, and then the Shades is the most recent. So there's your 4 factions. They start with each one of them with a breakdown of what the faction is. And then you get a little 4 new players blurb, which again, any company out there looking to launch a game, this is how you set up a website. Here is the breakdown for new players of what the La Chevalte faction is. And then from there, they start to go into the sub-factions. And this is where the gameplay really comes to the fore and your troop building. Because here is an overview of how the fawns work. They're not great at melee. They're very good at, well, they're better than average at ranged. They're not tough. They are fast, and they're great at harvesting moonstones, which is what the game is all about. These are a glass cannon who will score objectives. They're difficult to use. Here's your playstyle. Here's the box sets that you will find these things in. And then here's the cultists. And you'll see that some boxes, like the Malachite Mystics, will pop up twice because there's fawns in there, but then there are also cultists in this box. So if you're looking to find them, you can pick and choose from these various boxes. The cultists, again, medium difficult to use. If we find the witches, very difficult to use, but they are filth. And for anybody wondering, yes, add Morag from the Shades, because she's a Shade / La Chevalte dual character, and her combined with the witches is filth on steroids. They can 1-2 punch giants and trolls and things like that. So this side of the website, I think, is absolutely incredible. Just letting you see how factions operate and how within a faction you can have these little sub-factions. And it means you can go, well, I'm going to have these 2 troop boxes, gives me my 6. That's all I'm ever going to play. Or you can go, well, I'll get these 2 to start with, and then actually I've got the core of another sub-faction in here, and maybe I want to go on and use somebody else. And then there's the tactics. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, that breakdown is so incredibly handy, because there's so many times when you look at a game and you maybe like the look of a faction because of the miniatures that they do.
Yes.
But then you actually get to play, you get to look at the rules for them and you work out how they play, and you're like, oh my God, this is way more complex than I wanted to get into playing this game. And in actuality, if you've got it all laid out for you like that, even though you've got the breakdown, even when you've got the breakdown within the sub-factions, maybe you could find a sub-faction that works for you within a faction you quite like the look of, or maybe you go for a faction, but then you were like, maybe it was your second choice, but then you find a sub-faction that really works for you aesthetically and stuff.
I often see really cool. People look at the multi-award winning Moonstone, #Moam, and say, I really like X, and my partner really wants to play the fairies. And then you go, ooh, the fairies, they are tricky to play, but it breaks down how they play, the play styles, and tricks within it. So the tactics bits, when they first launched the new websites, they only had 1 article in here. Joe has been going absolutely great gun since then, adding additional bits and pieces in here, which has been really interesting to see from a design point of view. And I think he did these off his own bat before he came on with Goblin King Games. So he was just a player who was going, here's an interesting synergy between these characters. And it was from his interaction as a player that Tom essentially recruited him. I could be lying about that, but I'm fairly certain that's how my memory remembers that happening. But here's a perfect example of the weird shit you can do. So there are big creatures, giants, trolls, jackalopes, giant antlered bunnies. And this breaks down how these creatures sort of work. And you can see here on the cards, they have the different sort of faction symbols. So you could go through this, and there are enough to do a full 6 big thing for the Commonwealth, because you could run Gotchgut, Brunhilde, Lubard, Dim and Dimmer, can't run Boulder or Bristlenose or Rybold because they're all Dominion, can't have a Jackalope, and with the release of the Shades, you can have Angerboda, so you could run 6 giants as a troop. They will be different. They've got a ton of wounds, but they generally have low energy, which means they can't do as many spectacular things as some of the smaller creatures can. But it would be fascinating to see that. And again, Joe's gone down. He goes, here's this character. Here's what they do. Here's things you might not notice when you initially read their sort of card. And then here are lists you can build for the Commonwealth, for the Dominion, for La Chevalte, with those as sort of a core or a component within it.
Yeah.
And these articles, these tactical breakdowns for the game are utterly fantastic, because you can see then how these can be folded into your lists, how you can use things like, I know you've got a really nice troop of fawns, John, but you don't have the Jackalope bunny, but he could be added as a big thing, and it's a giant fluffy bunny with antlers that can be set on people.
And I've added something.
Oh, have you? And it can fold into the La Chevalte really nicely, or you can completely ignore it. You can just go, well, I don't really want to do it, but there he is. There, look at him. But yeah, so this side of the website, I think, is just a spectacular resource for anybody interested in getting into, possibly they may already play Commonwealth or Dominion and are thinking about expanding into La Chevalte or into Shades. And it goes, well, here's how they play. Here's the sort of various styles you can have within there, which is cracking.
The other thing about those breakdowns of kind of like tactics and cards as well is that it helps with those people who maybe look at a card and either don't necessarily grok how it properly works, or they've misread something, or their opponents maybe misread something, and you look at that and you're like, oh, that's how it's meant to meant to work on the table.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of removes a little bit of that sort of obscurity, which is quite nice.
But, clarifies things. And then within the actual thing itself, you can see they've broke down the various models by type. So your gnomes, your fairies, your goblins, whatever, and you can see them all here without even having to go near the shop. You can see the miniature in question, and then a quote from self-same model itself. Quite like Morris. Morris is a minor. Get it? Like the car, the Morris Minor. He's a minor, not a minor. Yeah. Again, a different pun on mining. It's all great. It's layers of fluff within fluff. But it means you can see really interesting figures that you might go, oh, I might want to do that. And even within the gnomes, there are certain ones. So, for example, Liv, Bjorn, Ollum, young Jack up there, they're all Norse. I think Graddock is as well. Angerboda is Norse, so the big new giant from the Shades. Loki is Norse, and then Joanna, the Nordic princess, with her squirrel. Squirrel.
So, of course, Jerry's got her.
So, weirdly, I have not. I don't own. I don't own a Norse squirrel carrying Nordic princess, and I don't know why. It's very peculiar. But you can go, well, these are already fun. I'll build a force around the the gnomes, or specifically around the Norse version of the gnomes. And this, I think, shows off the miniatures themselves, because they are relatively pricey, but they are boutique resin, and you need such a chronically small amount. 2 troop boxes, you're good. You never have to go beyond 2 troop boxes if you don't want to. Although people will obviously start playing and then go, well, this set here, those 6 are...
I could just add this.
Yeah, those 6 there are 2 different troop boxes. Whatever, I'm not sure what the current price on these are. They were around about 30-ish quid. So maybe 60 quid for them. How
did you find painting your stuff, John? Because you did the painting.
Oh, thank God you asked, John.
I did
painted?
The 3CU for Jada was different to how I painted my own stuff.
Right, yeah.
I think I did Jada for the 3CU as a more sort of standard sort of painting scheme, just to show it off a bit, but I did my stuff with like slap chop and heavy use of OSL, so all my stuff looks like it's in the dark with light sources around it.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah,
because you've got the likes of Gloom and the Hoff, and Jada. That sort of thing. In fact, if I just go to Fawns,
stuff. What have you just bought?
So you have that Jada, the Hoff, and Mr. Toodles.
Those, and I have that set. Those top 6.
So this set, which
I have them.
Most boxes are either a set of 3 or a big creature by itself or a big character. There are no chaff in this game. Everybody is a character. Everybody is great. So you can tell your own stories within it. You obviously don't have then the likes of Reagan and Klaus who come from the Caldas box.
No, but you see, I have the top 6 and I bought Reagan separate.
Oh, you got Reagan separately.
Okay.
And then I bought Eric the Enlightened. Big boy.
You should get Boris and his murder bunnies. Because there's 2 reasons. I said you have murder 6 people. Bunnies. Yeah, the murder bunnies are those little vicious rabbits that can be summoned. If they get killed, you can resummon them. But he can also summon a jackalope, so you could have 7 in your troop to begin with, and then Boris can summon a 7th jackalope and then summon the murder bunnies, and then just overwhelm people with bunny power.
So,
bunnies.
Do you want to know what I got?
I would love to. Yeah,
I bought Gump.
Yes,
because Gump looks amazing.
He does. In fact, Gump looks a lot like this because that is Gump.
So I've got Gump. I got Callista, the Lush of Priestess.
Yes.
And Dranier.
The fox spirit.
Is it fox or a cat?
She's so there's Callista, and then there she is. There she's turning into a fox. She's a wily fox spirit. You can paint her as a cat if you want. I'm not going to stop you. It's entirely up to you how you paint her.
Fox, knowing it's a fox, yeah. Gump looked amazing. I just seen Gump and was like,
yeah.
Gump's a really nice model. Yeah,
he is.
I saw Holly painting up Gump a couple of weeks ago.
One of our community members. She did an amazing job. There's best Eric. Don't let anybody else tell you different.
Yeah, why would you have gone with any other Eric? I mean, that's like clearly the best Eric. Yeah,
I still want to get the 75mm Jada. But I added it to my cart there now and went, I'm pushing myself.
Oh, is there still some left? We'll say nothing.
I'm sorry, Jerry.
I've got one sitting beside me, but I know at one point they were only going to be for the Kickstarter, so I didn't know if there were any kicking around. We're not going to bother going through the web store because you've seen everything you haven't seen everything. You've seen what's going to be in the web store, which is all these miniatures. But we'll say for anybody interested in the multi-award winning Moonstone, you can download the entire game. If you have 7D4 and 1D6, D6 is optional. You can always play rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first. Everything is available on this website for you to play. That is the rules. It does not contain the backstory and background of people, which is in the rulebook. It is just an A5 version of the rules. The card decks, the character cards, a paper standee version of all of the characters.
Using the artwork. Lovely.
Yeah. And then the campaign and upgrade cards, you would actually need the book to run those properly, I think. However, ignoring that, everything else is good to go. And you can just go, I fancy playing multi-award-winning Moonstone. And then, therefore, here is the Commonwealth humans or the Dominion goblins. And as long as you have a table to play on and a printer, you can print out pretty much everything, which also means if you fancy play testing a potential army, you're going
someone out. Yeah.
I mean, they are relatively expensive, not in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's, a trip box of 3 will cost you the same price as a Primaris chaplain, but but some people may, asking to drop 60 quid on a game that you haven't played before, not including the rules themselves. Obviously, you're going to have to get the rules and the cards. It's an expense that you might not, people have bought stuff in the past and then gone, oh, well, this isn't for me, and then regret their purchase. The fact you can actually print out everything, including all of the card decks you need, and play through it and test it, is phenomenal. And there's not many other companies out there give you access to everything. So being able to go in here and go, I'm going to give this a go. There's your Callista. Didn't even need a model, John. You just needed a printer. And off you pop. And there's the Boris, his murder bunnies, and the jackalope. Spelled jackalope wrong. We'll say nothing. Murder bunnies go. But yeah, so for people looking to get into a fantasy game, the multi-award-winning Moonstone, I think, is absolutely nailed on. There's even a really nice article that Joe's done where it is about terrain density on a table, because you play on a relatively small board. And he's talking, key thing is to have a lot of terrain density, but not so much that you either block off a complete line of sight or form kill boxes or leave everything so open that just gunfire wins the day. So an interesting article about just how to put stuff on the table and how you should think about setting things up to play. So as a one-stop shop for a new game, that website,
that's really good,
has everything. It literally spoon feeds you how to play and enjoy yourself. So why are you not playing and enjoying yourself?
I would also say we have how to plays, games, all sorts of things, interviews on OnTableTop.
Correctamundo. So we have all these things.
Want to go check those out? They're all in the hub. You know what? I'll even be nice, and I'll put a link down below to the links.
I got this recently. I'll show you this very briefly. Got this week. It's one of those things like what the Magic the Gathering kids get. But I've done it specifically for Moonstone. So that's the campaign card. That's your quick reference. And then that's all my cards. And my Moonstones are in there. It's really nice. So I just have all that. So I just grab that along with whatever miniatures I haven't painted yet, and I'm good to play. Anyway, enough of the
you need to get John and Justin playing with you guys and showing them off how to play and all that.
I've already threatened John. I'm going to paint up the shades because it's the US faction, and we did an unboxing this week of the new starter set, Life and Death Struggle, which is essentially John's La Chevalte Fawns plus a bunny against the shades. So we will be playing that in the not too distant future.
Cool.
As soon as I finish painting my shades. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on and take a look at some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, it's time for some news then. And we're going to be kicking things off with 343 Industries, which I've been informed does no longer exist. Might exist, possibly exist. It's on this box.
Halo Studios now, or Halo Games, whatever it is.
See,
not to be confused with Hello Games.
Yeah. Sorry, Mantic. You'll have to reprint those boxes now. Which is probably why they're doing that. What they're doing as part of this reprint right now. But talking of Halo, yes, and Mantic, Halo Flashpoint they dove in at the end of last week to talk about what's coming in Wave 2 of the releases for the game. So Wave 1 is out and about in the world, and as I say, getting a reprint very soon, so you can get your hands on
Wave 1 is not only out and about, it was so popular they sold out of what they thought they were going to sell for the rest of the year in the pre-order phase. So if you're after it, you need to go to a local game store and hope that they were on the merchant buy-in and bought loads.
Yeah, Mantic have said you can pre-order through them, but also they've got options on. There's options on Amazon as well, and it tells you when it's all coming out. I think it's like I don't think it's that far away. It's like early November for the reprints, so it's not too far off. But if you've got a friend who's going ha 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 ha, then you can just be like, well, I'll get it soon. Don't worry. But anyway, moving into 2025.
Yes.
Wave 2 is going to be hitting, and we're going to get a couple of new expansions. The first of these is the War Games expansion, which comes with 4 new Spartans in their Mark 5B armor. Have to add the B, apparently, alongside a range of banished / Covenant, however you want to go about it, weapons you can play around with, including the iconic energy sword. God, I love that. Such a cool weapon. This also comes with a bunch of extra stuff for the gaming side of things. So as well as the actual miniatures with their associated weapons, the War Games manual actually comes with points costs for every miniature and weapon combo in the game.
Yes.
So if you're diving in and you want to customize your force beyond what you've got as part of the Spartan set or the recruit set or whatever, you can get this and it'll have everything you need to kind of make more unique fire teams for using in Flashpoint, which I think is a really nice little bonus. And then obviously, with more weapon options, more Spartan designations, you can get your hands on a whole bunch of different teams as well. So there's 2 extra ones. Well, first of these is Fire Team Cerberus, which comes with a bunch of the brute style weapons. So you've got things like the gravity hammer and all that kind of thing. And this is because, I mean, Mantic have teased this as well. 2025 isn't just necessarily going to be the year of Spartans. We're also going to see more for the elites, the Shangili, as well as the brutes for the banished as well. So they're going to be coming down the line as well. And then the other set you can get is Fire Team Hydra, which was originally part of the Spartan edition of the game.
Yep.
But that's now available separately. So if you already had the recruit set and you wanted an alternative set of sculpts, you can go and get the Fire Team Hydra, which comes with the Covenant weapons, as you can see there, including the Needler and the rest of it as well. So
everybody loved
good
the
old
Needler.
Needler.
Two Needlers, and then your opponent can hide around the corner all he wants, but he's getting shot in the face.
Obviously you can dive in and get these painted up and have some fun with them. They're looking really nice. I know a lot of people have been playing around with them. I know we've got a set that we've been tinkering with and stuff. Well, you've been tinkering with. And
I assume this is what you meant whenever I said I'm painting them all differently, and you went, no, they should be red and blue team. Yeah, they're not going to be like this.
Blue team, goddammit.
No, they're very much going to be more like this, where everybody's got random armor on them. If you want red and blue team, look at their bases, because they will remain red and blue. But I'm not.
It's the equivalent of the silhouette around the character in the
game. I'm not doing it. This is dull. I may as well just paint Blood Angels. Not doing that. This is fun. Fun.
That's true. That's very true. In addition to, so obviously there's the War Games expansion, there's the 2 fire teams that are going to be coming out. You also get your hands on a whole bunch of accessories. So you can get the UNSC terrain pack, as you can see here, which comes with barricades and all sorts of bits and pieces like that. You can use those to embellish your battlefields, obviously, because the whole game's based on the sort of core of Dead Zone.
Yeah.
You'll have all that kind of elements in there as well. So follow that through to its logical conclusion. But obviously cover and all that kind of good stuff. The actual gameplay, if you're not aware of it, really quick and easy and simple, as I said, based on Dead Zone, which a lot of people really enjoy. So it's great for people who are getting into it and having a go for the first time. Mantic put out like a really good game with the Army Painter guys.
Yes.
Where Ronnie just sat them down and played through a turn, and they kind of grokked it in like 5 minutes.
Oh, it's a ridiculously simple game to learn.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is look at your card and roll that value on the dice, because you never modifiers are always based on dice. You start with 3 dice. If you've got good modifiers, you add dice. If you've got bad modifiers, you take dice away. But your stat never changes from what's on your card. So super simple to add or to explain to people. You just go in there, you just need 4s, mate. Just roll those, get 4s.
So there's the terrain pack, as you can see there. Also, if you want to change up your environments, there's gaming mats as well. So these are big neoprene mats that you'll have seen Mantic do in the past, and obviously loads of other companies do them as well. This particular design is for like a UNSC base, but I believe there's also another one which has like an outdoors location as well.
It's similar to the
like
paper mat that they've got in the box, but neoprened.
And as you can see, got all the cubes boxes on the board there, so it's all mapped out for you. So you just need to set up your terrain and away you go. Last but not least, well, actually, no, secondary to the last but not least, we have the organized play kit that you can get your hands on as well. So whether or not you're running Halo games as part of a club or a store, you can get your hands on this. It comes with everything you need to actually sort of run your tournaments, as you can see there. But you also get that set of really nice acrylic tokens, which can go to a winner. So if you want to dive in with your local community and get even more Halo being played, Mantic are helping you out right out of the gate, pretty much, which I think is a really nice way of doing things. So they clearly believe in the format and what they're pushing.
I mean, it makes sense because you can play through the game so quickly. And you can set people up to be either a team tournament or play individually and then just go lamping each other.
Yeah.
It's all good in the hood. They have said, by the way, if people got the Spartan edition, not the Recon edition, and there was an upgrade for acrylic tokens in there, they are not the same.
Okay. So there's a reason to fight for these.
I mean, it's 6 one, half dozen the other. They will do the same job on the tabletop. But they're not just because I know people absolutely shit themselves when they see a Kickstarter exclusive no longer be exclusive for whatever reason, and they panic like it's the end of the world. Well, if you've got the acrylic tokens from the Kickstarter, rest easy. These are not the same. People who win the tournament will have slightly different acrylic tokens than you. You're still a special boy. Mummy loves you.
Yes. We can all have fun.
Yes.
And last but not least, we also have the Return of the Paint set. So this was available originally as part of the pre-order period for the game. But the paint set's going to come back alongside the folks from Army Painter, which comes with all the colours you need for painting your basic Spartans, as well as Master Chef.
Master Chef.
As well. Yeah.
Master Chef is a legend.
He is.
So not just in that he's a legend, but he's a legend gameplay wise. If you build a fire team and you include the Master Chef, he counts as 2 models.
Makes sense.
So I'm assuming he is double hard.
You'd hope so.
With all the sprinklings.
I hope that the Covenant get the Arbiter as well. That would be really cool.
Oh, I imagine he will. I imagine the fact that they've added legends in means that they've got the option to include people from the video games. Like what you would play on your Ataris. Making this all up.
But yeah, so Halo Flashpoint Wave 2 pre-orders available right now from Mantic, coming in early 2025, and the reprint, as I say, is on the way and should be with you in sort of early November if you missed out on the first run of stuff for the game. But yeah, or didn't manage to pick it up at events or anything like that. So yeah, get involved and have some fun. We'll be diving into the set a little bit more in the next couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, as soon as I get these painted, I'll be straight up there to play somebody. I don't know who. Currently, I'm nominating Shay, but I'm open. It could be anybody who fancies playing.
I mean,
against
Lloyd
me.
Really likes Halo.
He does, but he also likes trains.
But does he like it as much as Shay does?
Probably not. Who knows? Time will tell. You'll find out whenever you click on the video. And we play through.
Pops up.
The only question is, what do we play? Because the scenarios are based on the scenario formats of the game. Yeah. So there's Capture the Flag,
Oddball, etc.
There's Oddball is interesting.
Oddball.
Because you get to smash people to death with an oddball in melee.
Skull. Yep.
Just take them and they just pound their faces into the dirt.
You're beating me to death with my old skull.
Stronghold and a couple of other things. So I'm at the moment, I'm ambivalent. I will play any of them. If people want to nominate something below in the comments, I might tally them up at the end whenever we come to play, and whatever the community have picked, we will play. Currently, Oddball, Stronghold, Capture the Flag are the 3 ones that spring to mind as being different from just killing each other on a table.
Regular TDM. Yeah.
So if you've got an option, chuck it down below, and we may or may not film that discuss. Right. Sticking with board games, but going a bit more fantastical.
Yeah.
Questing of Heroes.
So this one came out of nowhere, to be honest. I didn't even realize this happened until I saw it pop up on social media. But the folks at Avalon Hill and Hasbro are releasing a new version of HeroQuest specifically designed for newcomers. So the re-released HeroQuest core game comes in around, if you don't buy it from like a second retailer or something like that, or like Amazon, comes in around £100. First Light has been designed so it's a little bit more palatable for you to dive in and maybe play this with your family or your friends or whatever. And it comes in at under £40. It's £38 currently as part of the pre-orders and stuff.
You're selling it to me.
Yeah. And so obviously that means that they have cut some things out and changed some things up. So you still get some plastic miniatures in the set. You get 4 that represent your heroes, as you can see at the front, alongside a new deadly villain, which is the dragon, as you can see there.
It's a dragon.
Yeah, it's a dragon.
It's got jazz hands.
Yeah.
Jazz hands.
Yeah.
I'm a dragon.
And those tie into 10 entirely unique quests that have been done by the original designer for this particular set, First Light. Now, don't worry, anyone who's looking at this and being like, well, if I buy this, can I still dive into the rest of them? This is completely compatible, obviously, because it's still HeroQuest with all of the expansions and the larger core game if you want to dive in and get that later as well. Obviously, some of the things they've twisted, as you can see here, is that instead of having plastic miniatures for everything else, they're now done as standees, as you can see. And the terrain that would normally be included, the furniture, has been swapped out for cardboard tokens, and then obviously the doors are standees as well, as you can see there too. The other thing that I really like is that the board's been reinvented, so rather than it being that colourful spray of stone that you got in the original box set, it's actually printed detail on there, as you can see, to represent different rooms and locations, and it's double-sided, so you flip it over and it's got more designs on the other side. And again, all of this tied back into the idea of it being a smaller, unique box set for people to dive into and have fun with, all tailored around those 10 quests. There's obviously rules in the back as well, and then wider hero quests for making your own tales as well. So even if this was the only version of it you picked up, you could use this as a storyteller or whatever to come in and tell even more stories within HeroQuest if you wanted to go down that direction as well. But effectively, all the basics are in there for regular games of HeroQuest. You still got all the same fighters, you get the same cards, spells, treasures, and all that kind of good stuff. But they've obviously just tailored this so that it's a little bit more palatable for somebody diving in for the first time. And even though I think HeroQuest markets itself as an entry game for people to come and dive into dungeon delving and stuff, I think £100 can be something of a put off. Even when you see it in the sales, it's still coming in at like 60-70 quid. Normally around Christmas and that kind of thing. But I think First Light, if it becomes a staple of the collection from Avalon and Hasbro, is going to be really enticing for a lot of people. The other thing that's really good about it is that it still follows through on the same format as the revamped core game, in that you can still play it as a one versus many experience if you want to. So if you're playing it with your friends or whatever. But if you were jumping in as a family, or maybe you're playing with younger ones, then you can play it cooperatively with the app controlling everything on the tabletop. So you can just play it that way and have some fun. And it's all just done through the back of the box. It's great. So I think this is a great idea.
Oh, it's genius.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's something that I think should have happened earlier, probably. But yeah,
to be brutally honest, the launch of the new HeroQuest was so half-assed originally.
That is true.
I'm surprised they didn't just set the building on fire. So, entry level, you say? Is it like this? Just taking a lighter to things. Going, is this how you enter it? No, you set fire to the curtain. Stop that, Hasbro. But the idea of having a relatively tidy box set that kids can get into, and also the fact that they're standees, which I love. I know not everybody's a fan of standees, but having the full color monsters that all you're doing is pushing them into a base, it means you're playing immediately, and you're not having to worry about, even if you decide you're going to paint everything in that box is 5 models, and presumably Jazz Hands Dragon doesn't need to be painted for some time because he's not going to be in every scenario. He's going to be the last one. So, you know, you could play on day one, or you could spend 3 days painting up the heroes in the box and then play with an entirely painted set for however long you need. So, yeah, it's a good way of doing it for kids. God bless them and all who sail in them. Anyway, right. We already teased it. Next week is the ridiculous third theme week within 4 weeks, N5. And
we're all totally fine.
We're all 100%. None of us are developing Twitches or anything. And the pre-orders are upcoming for Sandtrap and N5 from Corvus Belli. So the game of fantasy golf, as you can see here, is between the Pano and the JSA, who are no longer a sectorial army or a offshooty branch. They are now a fully fledged faction of their own, as nature intended, and they are better than Yu Ching in every single way. Unlucky Carlos. So there are a host of products coming for the release of N5. Sandtrap itself is everything you need if you want to be playing the game. It contains both factions, the Kestrel, which is the Pano sectorial force, and then the Shinabutai, which is the JSA force, along with all of these fancy little bits of cardboard terrain. And they really are really fancy. I really adore them.
They're lovely.
They fold together beautifully. What I will say is I wouldn't be a fan of unfolding them and refolding them every time. You will start to wear some of that down after a while. A couple of neat things on them, though. The buildings all have labels on top, so it says things like medical center, comms center, that sort of thing. But it gives you nice bits of blocking terrain with additional cover that you can lay out in various ways for the gaming. All your tokens, your templates, and your measuring sticks are even in there as well. So you don't need to go elsewhere for anything. There's even the most important thing of all, 6 of the world's swingiest dice, the D20, 3 for Pano and 3 for the JSA.
Just what you want.
Yeah.
Just what you want.
So Kestrel, which has been nicknamed online the KFC, because it is it's the Kestrel, I can't remember, Kestrel Cooperation Force or something like that. So it's KCF, but everybody in the Infinity community have reversed the last 2 letters. So it's now like Kestrel Force Command, KFC. They are a brutal set of behind enemy lines Pano soldiers. They're not frontline people. You've got things like the Scarecrow, the Banshee, the Black Air, AIR, not sure what he is. He is dropped behind enemy lines with a sniper rifle and multi-spectrum visor to just go ham on everyone. But these have got a really nice set of sculpts, as always.
Gorgeous again.
Yeah. So imagine sort of French Foreign Legion doing the do.
So. Lovely caps. I like the caps.
Yeah, lovely soft covers on them as they just go brutalizing their way through the enemy lines.
Tempted, John? I know you've dabbled in Infinity. So.
Yeah, tempted.
Yeah, but they're all right, but they're no holy order, are they, John?
No, they're not. They're not holy zealots that have high technology. So
yeah, they're a bit dull.
And literal Joan of Arc leading them.
Yes,
so, very true. Yeah.
Obviously, the better set within the set is the Shinbutai, which contains your ninjas and samurai. Samurai.
Oh,
yeah. Being full on manga with the baggy parachute pants because they are too legit to quit. As we learned from the leader of the JSA, Mr. MC Hammer. But yeah, so stunning set of figures on both sides. If you pre-order, then you get this delightful wandering monk.
Yamabushi.
Yeah, he is playable as a mercenary, so he's playable for both factions, even though he clearly wants to be with the JSA Shinbutai. He can join your Pano because he wanders across like Kane from Kung Fu, wandering from town to town, looking to put the wrong things right. And then he may just go, you know what? Actually, in this instance, I should be getting involved with the KFC, bringing them 11 herbs and spices of pain to my enemies. So he's a really nice figure. He does come perched on that little bit of damaged stone wall, sitting there like some sort of Japanese Batman, watching what's going on around him. So even if you're not planning on using him in anything.
Yeah.
Stunning bit of work for any painter who just wants to do like a little mini diorama.
Yeah.
He's absolutely gorgeous. He's not alone, obviously, because there is a big bundle deal where you can get the N5 lore book, and that is key. This is all going to be digital as far as rules go. Rules, army building, all of that, all online, all the time from, I'm going to say the 19th of November. Don't hold me to that date, but also don't hold Corvus Belly to that date, because you'll see next week when we're talking about it, they're going, yep, it's going to be then, unless it's not, unless things crash, servers burn, in which case it'll be some other date, but sometimes in November. All of the game is digital. That big Galvi tome of hardback goodness is just backstory and lore. That's all. That's just for Infinity fans who go, what is happening? Where are we in the universe? Why is this
Infinity?
Why is this world going to pot, and who are these people on it? And that tells you what is happening. And some of the artwork in there is absolutely beyond insane. If you grab it, along with Sandtrap, you'll get Yamabushi, and you'll also get Corsan, the exclusive Corsair leader, which is a fascinating looking figure. I'm led to believe he's a homage to some manga thing.
Killian was telling me.
I don't watch enough cartoons to know.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, you haven't watched this?" And I was like, "No."
Well, I imagine there's people typing furiously, going, I do not know that he is Shinjong Wing Wang Wong.
You'd hate Gundam if you watched this. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Oh, well, then you're never going to watch that then, because you love Gundam too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you be stressed away?
I'm happy to die on that hill.
Yes. So you can pick these up on pre-order currently from Corvus Belly, or these days the pre-order bundles are available through a whole host of various online stores as well. So if you don't order direct from them, you're no longer phased out of being able to get the miniatures, which is great. I think even Business Daddy does them these days. That would require me to. That would require me to click onto it to find out, and I'm not going that far. But it's a gorgeous miniature. I got to handle / drop the studio paint job. But the important thing is, Killian and Carlos weren't in the room when I did that, so they'll never know, and they're not going to watch this bit.
Our little secret.
You know what the best part is? If you're going to drop a model, always make sure you do it on a neoprene mat, where it bounces more than chips or bricks. So
good idea.
I thought so. Yeah, like I say, host of stuff coming for Infinity. Look at that; it's practically Gundam, coming at you with its little red antlers. Isn't that Gundam?
Yeah, sort of. Yep.
If you fancy if you fancy getting involved in the Infinity, you can pre-order the stuff from the 14th. So by the time you see this, it will be Monday. Oh, in fact, lo and behold, when everything kicks off, you can pre-order from Monday, and you can see all our videos from Monday. If you don't want to pre-order on Monday, you can wait to the end of the week, and you've seen all our videos, and you will know everything that's coming. And then you go, yes, I can make an educated purchase here rather than just absolutely spamming buy now, which I would never condone, unless it's on the multi-award winning Moonstone site, in which case do that.
So I'm your favorite person today, then.
Always, John. You're always my favorite person.
Oh no! Don't let anyone else hear that.
That's all right. Nobody else watches these things. Just me and you, man. Just me and you. As we all, and to be fair, you're also our editor's favorite person, as we discovered from last week's edit, where there was just a close-up zoom in on you while I was talking. So, anyway, he's not going to hear this bit either. He doesn't listen to the things he edits. Right. Looking at some stuff for Spoopy-tober. Then we have some Warp Lock. Or Warp miniatures these days.
Warp miniatures, they're embracing our spooky month, because there isn't enough spooky month going on. So for their 32mm fantasy game, ArcWorlde.
World. Yeah.
World. We have a new two-player starter set that has skellies and vampires in it. I mean, what's not to like about that, really? So in this two-player set, we have the Vampire Starter Warband, and we have the Ancient Dead Starter Warband. I believe both these are going to be available separately.
Yeah. So You get them as part of that set, or you can buy them individually as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very fun looking characters there.
She's gone wrong. He's obviously 100% in control of his faculties.
He's dead and loving it.
He is very much loving it.
He's very much loving it. Really nice models. I've not had a chance to look at much of Warp Miniature stuff before, other than what we occasionally cover here. But
yeah. I think the thing is, they have a really caricatured feel to the sculpts.
Slightly cartoony kind of vibe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is always fascinating to see because, I mean, if somebody goes, we're going to do an undead, spectral, ethereal army against a vampire army, I think most of us in our heads automatically default to things like Warhammer, and you'll be thinking they will look like this. And then in actual fact, they, I mean, that's more Tim Burton when you've got your little yappy type skeleton dog coming, bouncing towards you, than a sort of a grim and serious version. But I think the style of sculpting he does, especially because he mirrors it in the STL bits and pieces.
Yep.
It does look absolutely terrific in that respect. And the miniatures themselves are really characterful, especially if you're going to be doing any sort of halfway decent paint job. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. And if you're just going to chuck an express paint, speed paint, contrast, whatever onto it, the detail is thick without being busy. I think that's probably the best way to put it. You know, you look at that and there's nice, clean lines on the sculpt that will take those sort of quick paint jobs very easily. But at the same time, if you want to just really go ham on it, you can. I'm wondering what's in his hand. What is this? I'm a little bit scared. I see bulbous looking pieces, but then there's a certain...
Let's call them hearts.
There's a certain wiriness up here. It's, maybe it's magic. Maybe it's Maybelline.
No, I hope.
Shut up, Ben. I can feel that look. I'm not even looking at you. I feel you.
Yeah, these do really lean into that sort of. You could do a lot of good work with like a slap chop kind of approach to it, appreciating approach.
The big creatures
that half the face expressions.
Yeah, I mean the fact that you can then go in and add a werewolf or the bone Goliath, which is just a Cyclops. Do you know where that comes? Because that's a classic Cyclops look. The if you do a Google search for pygmy elephants, the skulls are found in Greece. They are from an earlier version, and they have a large socket where presumably their nose was, and then these little two tiny tusks coming out. And that is what people think the Cyclops came from, because people were looking at them going, well, that's just a single giant eye socket. It's not. It's the nostril. But that's what spawned it all. And I think this is the first time I've seen anybody use that style of skull for an undead Cyclopsy giant, which makes perfect sense because that's where the whole myth came from. And for that, I go kudos. Mr. Man, kudos, Alec. It's Alec, isn't it?
Alex, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That was halfway. Yeah, they are absolutely cracking. Squirrel. Look at it. Little ethereal squirrel right there.
And Jerry is sold.
Yep, you had me at squirrel.
The nice thing about this stuff as well is that it's all available. You can choose the material, so you can either go down the route of it being in resin or metal. So depending on what you prefer, just pick up whichever set you want, really, and away you go. But and that's available across the starter set and both of the and the individual releases and the 2-player set as well. So.
Fancy. Okay. Loving that. Loving these guys. They remind me of Pagan Russ Filth, John.
Do they, Jerry?
Yeah.
So I've got another Victrix segment to talk about because I I apparently keep getting them, Ben.
Well, it's historic, isn't it? Isn't that why Ben gets it?
Well, yeah,
cool,
it's
like
right.
history.
Close enough. I see the logic. I understand the logic.
Yes.
Chainmail's the tank armor of the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Catch
I would have said, yeah. Okay. So we have more Dark Age miniatures coming, and Jerry can probably tell us all about it.
Yes.
Because I look at it and go, that's pieces of wood in certain shapes that constitute as shields.
Are they just more Vikings? They look like Vikings. Why are the Vikings being Viking?
I don't understand what's going on anymore.
Well, anybody who wants to know what these are about, these are, anybody who's played Saga First Edition will know they are the filthiest thing to ever roll across the board with the Pagan Rush. But the Vikings who went east instead of going west, like the Pet Shop Boys told them to, ended up becoming Pagan Rus. So these are Rus, probably. These are the forebears of the Russians in and around the steppes. They are an interesting bunch of people, as you can see from their majestic-looking baggy pants and huge square shields. I do like these. Obviously, Lloyd, I think, is nailed on for these, because having suffered the PTSD,
bought enough of them to field 2 armies, I think.
Having suffered the PTSD of having hammered his Vikings with Pagan Rus, he's decided to jump on board the Rus train. Choo-choo. So these are 17th century onwards, and around the Baltic states, so Estonia, northern Russia as it currently is. And they are, as you would expect, a spanking gorgeous set of figures. I haven't seen what they've announced the box set bag in yet. Generally what they do is a couple of command sprues, of which this is probably one with the half body on it, and then 6 standard sprues so that you can make up a multiple units. If you're playing things like Hail Caesar and the like, this is nailed on for those. They also make quite good Varangian Guard.
They would.
If you're into that sort of thing. Again, Lloyd is, because he is filth.
Because he's a massive nerd.
Yes.
So it's four sets of each sprue in this set.
4
so you
each.
get 4 unarmored, 4 armored command. So it's 48.
48, yeah.
The whole set.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Although I would normally they do it 2 and 6. But, I'll take 4 and 4.
It's because you get more of the armored stuff. You get more of the armored options that way, I think. So they've tried to make it so you've got a good spread between the two.
Yeah. There's a really nice, the Eastern aesthetic on their armor just sets them apart from what you would see with the Scandinavians that we would see for the Norse and French of the period, which means you've got a bit more of the sort of unusual armored style of helmets, the spangle helms and that sort of thing, which look a bit different and a bit nice. Obviously, you've still got massive date axes and huge shields to be playing around with, and they look absolutely superb there. I wonder who's doing the painting now.
Yeah, because it is very nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's spanking, but I think there's a lot more contrasty washes going on. The gentleman who used to do stuff passed away, unfortunately. He had a really good YouTube channel as well. I digress. But the Rus are looking, the dog's balls. You'll see these. I've got a Rus army somewhere, actually, from Wargames Foundry. Do I need to add any Rus to that? No, I must not. But the very distinctive fur caps and also the shaved heads that you would see as well as the big baggy pants are all good. If you're not too worried about the actual period / clothing, there's no reason why you couldn't use these as Vikings if you wanted to mix up what you were using in your Vikings. But after all, they are of the same ilk. They just went in a different direction, which means you can go a bit more Hollywood, I suppose, in your historical accuracy. But if you fancy doing something a bit more
Vikings
Baltic,
Valhalla.
yeah. don't worry about it so much. There's plenty to play around with. I do see that Little Big Man Studios have been rocking the transfers again for these, which are always good because you can get away with an awful lot. You can get away with contrast, speed paints, express paints, whatever you want to call them, over all the miniature. And as you can see there's plenty of fools. And a very quick paint job with these, spray and then speed paint the bejesus out of them, and then just chuck on the Little Big Man Studios transfers, and bosh, you've got a really nice looking thing. I'm looking at those. I remember I painted that shield once for that Viking hobby night we did. This one down here with the one of the Raven on it. That is very doable. You could even do that freehand over the pen if you wanted to. This bugger in the top right, nobody is doing that freehand anytime soon. Not
John?
if they want to keep their eyes. No. He says no.
What will happen? What will happen is I'll say no, and then I'll find a TikTok at some point of someone doing it freehand, and I'll be like, nope, still no.
Without a doubt. But just looking at those, obviously the spectacle helm, this fell on the far left and the far right. There's no reason why you couldn't just run those as Vikings without any problems. The fella in the middle is a bit more ornate with that helmet on him, but chucked him in as Harold Harada's Varangian friends, and off you tot. But yeah, it's nice to see more in the Dark Ages coming, because they don't try and lead me away from the Dark Ages like Victrix do with their other things. Whenever they're going, oh, you know what you should do? You should do some medieval bits and pieces. Oh no, I
all
want
those Crusaders. Yeah.
No, I want to. I did spend some time yesterday putting a lot of knights together. There'll be an unboxing on those at some point in the not too distant future. Still not playing it. Can't make me. Do really like the Templars though. They were great. Anyway, I digress. Sticking with history, but something a little more up to date, a little more recent. And by that I mean the 1800s, not the 800s. There's a whole host of what I'm going to call my generation, boomers.
Yes.
are coming for Knuckleduster for Gunfighter's Ball. So these are a selection of TV Western inspired figures. There is a prize for people who can spot them all. I'm not sure on one of them, which is really aggravating. By the way, for people counting at home, these are 200 to 205. So there are now 205 individual Western character models sculpted by Knuckleduster, which is an outstanding amount. I mean, far beyond the 8 you need to play Dead Man's Hand. They've gone above and beyond on that respect. So yeah, they've been doing the Lord's own work here. Anybody? Anyone? No?
So someone in the comments actually named them all and did all our work for us.
I'll wait then, because I know most of them, but I'll come back to you on one. So that is Paladin from Have Gun Will Travel.
Right.
Hence the Traveller, which is absolutely cracking. You can find some of those on YouTube, by the way, if you've never seen it.
Correct, according to Rickabod, yeah.
And then this is the one I'm not aware of, Anglo Ferguson. And it's killing me because the faces on them are very good.
And
I recognize the face. Yeah.
He's Artemis Gordon from the Wild West.
It's Artemis from the Wild West.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sancho is actually Pancho from the Cisco Kid, because Cisco Kid is in there as well. If I pull up this one, you can see the Reno Kid and Sancho in the middle. Oh, Cisco. Oh, Pancho. So they're there. At the end, Jake Randolph is Steve McQueen's character from Wanted Dead or Alive, which I think was Josh something.
Yeah, Josh Randall. Yeah.
Yeah. And Wes is also from Wiki Wiki Wawa, isn't he?
So you've got West Eastman is James West from the Wild West.
From the Wild West, yeah. So I recognized him from the Wild West. I didn't recognize Angela. I must go back and rewatch the TV show.
According to Rickabod, who has a spreadsheet, if you want to know who any of the Gunfighters Ball characters are, so you can match them, he will let you know. So
that's good.
If you're like, who is this? He has the names. So
that's handy, because I have bought so many of these because they are absolutely nailed on for the TV/movie characters they represent.
Yeah.
However, if you ever ask Knuckleduster, their response is, I can't say, because then it would be official, and then I'll get sued.
If he officially says it, then
he officially says it, he'll get done for copyright or trademark.
It's how hassle-free got through everything back in the day.
Yeah.
And crooked dice.
So he will never confirm or deny what your guesses are, but they are an absolutely superb set of classic 50s/60s TV serial sort of figures. And I mean, Gunfighter's Ball, smashing game, especially for big games and convention games, because it's really easy to play, although random movement. Just change that random movement. Change that from a D10, because I don't want to go 1 inch at a time. That's shit. Change that to an average dice +5, so you've got like a base 6 to 10 or whatever it happens to be. Anyway, I digress. Apart from the random movement, Gunfighter Ball, great. But for any Western game you feel like playing, they are absolutely superb for Dead Man's Hand. Classic Legends of the Old West as well. There's just so many great Western games you can play with them, especially when you're starting to put together gangs and groups. And if people are fans of Blazing Saddles, there is even a set of the Blazing Saddles characters in there as well, including Mungo mounted on his cow. Because they generally do these on foot and then we'll do them on mounted as well. Not always, but a lot of the time. And the mounted version of Mungo on his steer is particularly good. So why would you not have that? Anyway, up and about if you fancy getting involved in the downloadings of STLs and the like as well. There's a whole host of them available there. I will say they do promotional figures every month.
They do. Yep.
And this month they've done the Headless Horseman. If you've not seen it, it looks absolutely superb. Let me actually just pull that up because it's worth seeing. So for Spoopytober, if you buy $100 worth directly from them, you can get this model as a physical model. If you buy $20 worth of STLs, don't hold me to those, but I think those are the right numbers. You can get, for the month of October, this delightful figure. As the man says, he's scary enough floating in space, but now he's got a horse. Because he showed off the figure, not on horseback first. You can go full Western Ichabod Crane level of
very nice
of pumpkin-headed lunatic, and he's just cracking. Yes, am I going to order enough so I can get that figure? I'm not saying, but I think we know the answer.
It's written in stone.
Yes. Right. We have some Warhamster news, Benjamin.
Yes. Yeah, just a little bit to close things out for this week. So over the weekend, we got another Warhammer Day preview that was relatively pointless, but there was actually some decent stuff in there as well that was worth diving into. Year of Chaos, my arse. One of the first one of these was the announcement of a new edition of Warhammer Underworlds, which is called Embergard. That's the new set you're going to be getting, which is coming out very, very soon, actually. In fact, tonight they are doing a gameplay video of how to sort of play the new edition, and then more of it should be coming out in like early November, which isn't that far around. So I'd say new edition and new core game. The idea is that they are resetting things, so everything that existed before for Warhammer Underworlds is sort of going out to pasture, and this is a whole new reset for the game.
Bomb rat.
Just to let people know straight out of the bat, that obviously means all of your cards and boards and things are no longer usable. That's what happens when you change editions of a game. But all the actual miniatures will still be available, will still be usable. So every warband is going to get digital and in some cases physical rules. So if you have a warband from the past, you'll still be able to use it in the new edition, because the way that they're doing things is that the warbands no longer have faction decks as they were previously. They now have what's called a War Scroll card, which has the rules for how your faction has like the special abilities of your faction. And then you'll have your fighter cards, which will be downloadable. And then any of the new decks of cards can be used with any warband. So you just pick up that deck, slot it in with your warband, and away you go. So it's particularly good for those like me who picked up the Warhammer Underworlds warbands previously, but didn't get the cards with them because they just bought the model sets for Age of Sigmar. Now you can just get the new rules for free off the Warcom and just dive in and start playing with them. So I've got a couple of warbands that I bought because I like the models. They didn't have the cards. Now I can use them in the game, even though I couldn't previously, which is a silver lining to this dark cloud. But beyond that, diving into the actual box set itself, Embergard comes with 2 new warbands. You get the Ember Watch, who are your Stormcast Eternals from the Vanguard Chamber. Lightning fast, deadly, looking to hunt down Skaven, all that kind of good stuff. In the actual narrative of the game, they've been sent into the tunnels and the mines underneath Embergard, where the Skaven, which is Zizek's tunnel pack, are looking to mine as much Emberstone as possible from there to use it in their terrible warp experiments. And so you obviously have a clash between the nefarious Clan Scryer and the Stormcast Eternals, who are looking to looking to cause some mischief, as you can see. But yes, that is a Doom Wheel-esque creation rumbling around on the board. Also, they do actually have a bomb rat that can explode and kill lots of things around it, and it doesn't define who it kills, so it could kill your own men, which is perfect.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So yes, yeah.
Unleash the brats.
Exactly. The other thing that's really nice about this is that the new core game will be the core game for, we're thinking, a full year before a new set comes out. So the way that Warhammer Worlds Underworlds used to work is that there'll be a core set, but then there'd be like another core set within 4 to 5 months, which would come with 2 new warbands, 2 new sets of cards, new rules, and that kind of thing. Seasons, effectively, yeah. They're changing that up. So rather than there being multiple entry points into Warhammer Underworlds and a starter set, this is the core game that you buy, and then anything else that comes out after this is just supplementary expansions to the core game.
Okay.
So your starting point is here, effectively, which I think is a great way of changing things up and making it easier for people to dive in and play the game.
I think that's key, really.
Yeah. The other thing, as I say, is there's been some tweaks and changes. So this is a good example of it. So you'll get your fighter cards and your War Scroll card, which will come with the way that they play on the tabletop. And then each of the different Rivals decks they now release from this point on can be used with any warband. Each warband will have a particular speciality. So, for example, the Ember Watch are particularly good with Blazing Assault as their deck type, which is more of an aggressive one. But that doesn't mean that you can't run them with the other deck types. It just means they fit more fluidly with that one. But you can experiment and play around with it a little bit more.
I get
and the game still runs. The game still runs as the game has previously. It's still sort of card playing and miniature moving and attacking and all that kind of thing, scoring objectives. Things taking place over 4 rounds, which last very quickly. You can probably get through a game of Underworlds in, well, they say an hour now, but I reckon you could do it in 45 minutes if you were proficient at playing. And yeah, another tweak they've made, which some people are sad about, but I couldn't care less, is that they've taken away the double board setup where you choose boards and flip them around and all that kind of thing. Now it's just one big board and you just choose your territory and you play and away you go. So a few ways to kind of slim things down in Warhammer Underworlds. Obviously some big changes, which will, annoy a lot of people, I suppose. But, if you've played any Games Workshop game, you should have known this was going to happen, I guess.
You want to be annoyed.
You'd always keep playing the old one.
Yeah, and of course, as Jerry says, if you've got all the stuff from the first edition and you enjoy playing that game, just play that with your friends. I mean, it's not going to... And you can always just get the new rules for free and play that if you want to later on. Whatever. But new Underworlds. Recently played it in a pub, just playing the quick Unbound version of it, where you sort of sit down, you don't use the card decks, you just play random games in the pub. So we were, down in pints and playing Warhammer Underworlds. It was great fun.
What do the other people in Wetherspoons think?
Thankfully, we did it in a nicer pub. So.
Oh, okay. That wouldn't be hard.
Very true.
I think the pubs the Crays frequented were nicer. Anyway. It's not all from Games Workshop. They've also got a bit of the old 40Ks as well.
Yeah, so a couple of interesting things for 40K. The first of these is a new set coming out for Kill Team. So obviously the Kill Team got its new edition fairly recently, which had the Vespids going up against the Tempestus Scions, the Tempestus Aquilons with their jetpacks. This next set continues the fighting on Volcus, but it focuses on 2 new warbands, and the name of the set is Brutal and Cunning, not spelt with a K like a orc would. But that's because you get new tank buster orcs kicking ass and taking names with rocket launchers and all sorts of different things, and obviously rockets on the end of hammers, because why would you not? And they are fighting against ratlings. Lots of little scurvy ratlings.
Harsh. It's very harsh, I feel.
So yes, as you'd imagine, both of the warbands are fairly thematic in that regard. The tank busters are very explosive, and obviously they're big burly guys that want to wade into combat and kill things. The ratlings are a primarily ranged focused warband, and to that end they actually have special rules where they can scarper when people come next to them, so they can run away from the orcs as they're charging towards them across the tabletop. And they can also lay traps and mines and all sorts of things. You can see it in that Kill Team at the bottom there. There's a guy who's a ratling who's lost his arm, but he's setting up some explosives ready to go. Good.
I see Captain Price has made a return.
Yes. Yes, he has. Yes. Don't call me Shirley.
Kind of name is Soap.
So it's a really nice little set there, full of character, and obviously I would imagine a lot of people are going to pick this up and add it into their Astra Militarum forces as well. Maybe, probably. John? Yes,
probably.
Yeah. What about the new Death Call that people are thinking are going to be coming next year? Are you tempted? Or?
Oh, if it's coming and it's going to have the support that it deserves, then a second guard army would definitely be on the cards.
There you go. You're suited and booted. And in the meantime,
we've had
some rattling.
First guard army, but what about second guard army?
Exactly. What about second guard army?
Just like a rattling would ask.
That's why I'm getting the rattlings for the Cadians and then second guard army.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. But so both of these kill teams are available in the new box set, which comes with a new set of terrain and new scenarios as well. The fighting is now around some of the more militaristic compounds that they've set up. So you get these larger defensive walls and things. The scenarios are then tied into those as well. And it's all about kind of like breaching and busting and, trying to get in and steal the loot and that kind of stuff. And to that end, the actual terrain is modular. So you can see some of the elements where it's kind of wrecked a little bit towards the lower halves of the walls.
Yes.
Those sections come out so you can show where places have been breached and things, which I think is a really nice touch. And that obviously ties into the scenarios as well that you'll be playing.
Here,
on the table.
breaching and busting makes you feel good.
It does. It does. The terrain is kind of like plugs in almost to the stuff that you got in the first new core set.
Yep.
So if you have the previous set with all the ruins in it, these match up really nicely to those. So you can expand your terrain collection and kind of mix and match if you see fit as well, which I think is quite good.
That box looks really weird.
Yeah. What? Sorry?
This box here looks really weird, like it's photoshopped in afterwards.
It does. Yes, it really does.
Why is this one box photoshopped in?
Maybe someone said you need to have all the components from the box set in this picture.
Are they all there? Yes.
One box.
What about that green box? Oh, shit. I can't not see it though.
Interned.
At least it's not like it used to be where they would try to Photoshop the bases off.
Oh, that's true.
So the characters were all sort of running on the terrain, and it was even more jank, I thought.
Yeah. A couple of extra things that were announced as part of the preview as well. So there's a festive miniature coming, which is themed around rattlings. You get provisionally prepared as the Christmas miniature, the festive season miniature for this year.
Have to get that as well.
Which is a couple of rattlings hiding out in their little ruined corner of some hive city somewhere, getting ready to shoot, but obviously they've raided the Astra Militarum stores. At the
Second breakfast.
Second breakfast.
Exactly. It should be you know that meme of Gordon Ramsay, but without the nose? I wish I'd looked like that.
Yeah.
Have everything.
So that's coming out as well. Interestingly for this, and they revealed it as part of the preview show, this will have a special scenario in Kill Team where they're kind of like holding out against the enemy, which I think is a really nice little bonus. And obviously now Kill Team can be played cooperatively or solo, so you can dive in and just play by yourself if you want to and play through the scenario by yourself and have some fun. The co-op version of Kill Team, by the way, not a lot of people have really been talking about it, but like a few YouTubers have been going in, but like this is like the hidden gem of the game right now. It's genuinely good, and people shouldn't like sit on it, kind of thing. So if you're into Kill Team, maybe look at that co-op section of that book and have a try. And then last but not least, I say this quite often, last but not least, we have a tease for what's coming in 2025. And in pure Games Workshop fashion, it was literally just a screen. So
it's say that
clearly
this is the roadmap for the Emperor's Children for 2025.
Yeah, chaos my ass, as I said. But Emperors, well, they probably like that. The Emperor's Children are going to be coming as a fully fledged faction in 2025. Rumors abound are that we're going to get a new plastic Fulgrim demon model. It's going to be coming out. Obviously, we had the Forge Rod one last year, I want to say.
We had the Heresy one last year.
Yeah. So Demon Primarch coming this year. Hopefully, new Lucius the Eternal. That would be nice to see. A new Eidolon as well. That would be really cool to see thrown in, because he's effectively the de facto leader of the fractured Emperor Children anyway.
New metallic purple paint. That would be handy.
New Noise Marines.
New Noise Marines would be really nice to see as well. Yeah. New upgrade kits are probably going to be coming alongside Combat Patrol and a new separate Codex supplement. Interesting one as well that a lot of people have been talking about. If you know your lore, there is a clone version of Fulgrim that currently resides within the library of, is it not Trazyn? It's the other one. One of the Necrons. I can't remember his name.
Trizon's the Collector.
Oh, it must be him then. Yeah,
Must
it's
be
in his collection. He has a perfect clone of Fulgrim that is aware of what happened during the Heresy and wants to right his wrongs. So you never know. Maybe we'll see that brought to the tabletop in some fashion. I don't think Games Workshop are that brave.
I think they're brave enough to try and relaunch the Emperor's Children anyway.
Oh yeah,
because they have been toning down the Slaaneshiness of the Slaanesh stuff anyway.
Less boobs.
Less
but at the same time, they did an excellent job with the World Eaters, in my opinion.
They did. Yep.
So like they do stand out on their own, and they do have the correct aesthetic for them. It's just how they're going to tackle, or how they will show us what Slaanesh is. Maybe they'll just make the Emperor's Children really interested in music.
Maybe. I mean, that was one of the things. Yeah,
like it was the main thing back in the day. So
they were all about sights and sounds. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
you know what we really need? We really need Doom Rider to come back. Doom Rider needs to ride again.
Yes,
that crazy guy needs to ride again. I
think not, baby puppy.
But there we go.
Right, that's enough news. We're done with the news. Let's move away from the news. We'll have a quick swish, and when we come back, we'll round out the show.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Okay, then, we have a couple of Kickstarters to finish off the show, and we're going to be starting off with something teenage. Mutant hero,
something from my childhood. Yeah,
your childhood.
So Restoration Games, big.
I'm aware of them.
Behind the awesome Unmatched series that has pretty much taken board gaming by storm over the last couple of years. It's a really, really good format for diving in and just taking random characters from folklore, history, and popular culture by the dozen and throwing them all into a melting pot so they can fight each other on the tabletop with very quick and easy deck based card play. The new set that is currently on Kickstarter right now that you're seeing here is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. I dare you not to now be singing the theme tune. That will have you playing as the heroes in half shells. Oh my god!
Turtle power
on the tabletop, kicking ass and taking names. So the twist to this is that it's one of the Unmatched Adventures sets. So this can be played either competitively, where someone takes on the role of Shredder or Krang, or you can play it cooperatively, where the game controls Shredder and Krang, and then you take on the role of the Turtles and their allies as they battle against the nefarious nemesis on the tabletop. Each of the heroes has their own decks alongside a associated ally. So you get the likes of Casey Jones and April O'Neil and Splinter. And while they're represented in the base set as tokens, you can actually get a upgraded version of it, which comes with the characters, all of the miniatures. Yes. So if you really want to go all out and get your hands on some really nice Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle miniatures, then you can do that as well, which I think is a really good, nice little bonus. In terms of how the game plays, it's very, very simple. You get a deck of cards that is designed for your hero, and each turn you'll be drawing a set of cards, and you'll be playing them in order to do actions. They'll be moving around, attacking, and all that kind of thing. And that's resolved against your opponent playing cards in defense of that as well. So it's a really interesting back and forth as you're trying to like learn each other's decks and how you're working. And then obviously that changes slightly with the way that you play it cooperatively, where the deck is designed in such a way so that there is kind of like the boss isn't just a pushover. It's not just effectively playing against whatever you'd be playing if you were playing competitively. It's like a deck that's stacked in a certain way to make it slightly harder, and then it changes based on the number of players that you bring into the game as well. So it's kind of like always an increasing challenge each time you dive in. The other thing that's really nice about this campaign and what they've done is that because of the community asking about it, Shredder and Krang will get hero decks. So if you want to dive in and play as Shredder and Krang fighting against each other or alongside the Turtles, you can get that, which is cool.
That is madness.
Yeah. And because it's unmatched, everything you get in this set is effectively self-contained, so you could literally just play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the entire time if you wanted to. But you can use them with all the other sets. So if you wanted to have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Marvel heroes,
all the Marvel heroes, if you wanted to have them up against the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, or Velociraptors, or Beowulf, Red Riding Hood, all these different characters, you can do that thanks to the way that Unmatched works as a game system. I think this is going to be really fun for people to dive into and have some fun with. As I say, I think Unmatched is really well suited to it because it's quick and easy, fun to learn, sort of card mechanics and gameplay. And then on top of that, you have the dynamism that comes with each of the different characters having their own particular style of play and all that thing as well. So it just seems like a no-brainer for Restoration to be on board with this and bringing it to the tabletop. And I mean, this campaign's doing well anyway. I would assume it's probably going to open up the floodgates for even more properties to get on board and do stuff with them as well. I mean, they've already worked with Marvel so on all their heroes and things. So, there's people out there. Imagine Batman done in this as well. I think that'd be really great. Do some really fun things.
They have to get across the streams. I have a sneaking suspicion because Marvel's already in there, DC will not go near it because they won't want people touching.
Yes. We can't have Batman going as Doctor Strange or Shakespeare. What are you talking about?
I'm trying to think who published the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic after.
Because
it started off with somebody.
Was it IDW?
Yeah, I think it was. But then I'm not sure if it went off. Anyway, these are cartoon based. Oh, they've got Bubble Walker Krang and Super Shredder. That's madness. Yeah.
And these flying characters, and you can see all the additional allies as well, which is really cool. But the game's really nice because it's all about maneuvering as well as it just being about smashing people to with your attacks and stuff.
Yes.
So there's a real interesting puzzle in the way that you move and the way that you play, and sort of like keeping cards in your hand for later turns, and kind of recycling stuff and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a really fun little game to dive into, and I think the Turtles aesthetic is going to be one of those massive buy-ins for people to come and have some fun with. And of course, once you've got the miniatures, there's no reason why you can't get them painted up and use them in other games. There is a program guide for playing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
for 7
in
TV.
7 TV.
Yes, there is. It really is. And you know what the best part of this is? One of the original animators lives not far away from our studio and occasionally comes down and plays games. So Lee was from Canada originally, but for people who are unaware, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, after the initial stuff, was animated in Dublin. So he did both the raccoons when he was in Canada, and then when he moved over to Ireland, he did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just love the idea of making him play the cartoon he used to animate.
That would be so cool.
That would just amuse me no end. He may hate it, but I don't care. That looks absolutely cracking, though. Especially the fact it is based on the cartoon, and not just any cartoon, but the good cartoon.
Yeah.
Like nature intended. You two can... I want to see Casey Jones, though. I think he's hiding on me somewhere. There's our stretch goals. Because Casey Jones was one of my favourites. Everybody loves him.
He's one of the allies for one of the...
He's an ally for Raphael, which makes sense, putting the two most absolute bloodthirsty monsters together.
Yes.
Although, as we all know...
Raphael and Casey, Mikey and April, Leonardo and Splinter, and Donatello and Metalhead.
And Metalhead, yeah.
Yeah.
Other things about people I don't care about. Well.
And you can get miniatures for Bebop and Rocksteady as well.
Yeah, I like how they're on one base as well.
Yes.
2 monsters, 1 brain. That's how they work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a whole obsessive compulsive disorder explaining why Krang's robot android suit is the best way that could have been made. Because people look at it and go, why is it in its stomach? But the idea is whenever you lean down to look Krang in the eye, then you're at perfect bopping height for those 2 fists.
Love it.
So it's genius. It's a genius bit of design there by Krang. Shredder, made up of worms, you know. We'll not worry about that too much. The creators never did. It was a one shot that they thought would be hilarious, and then it just got out of hand. So who would have thunk it?
Wow.
That looks absolutely terrific. 10 days left, absolutely smashing the Foot Clan's back doors in, as far as the actual cash monies go. So if you fancy getting on board with some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Hero Turtles, if you come from the UK in that period when ninja was too violent to be talked about, then you can do that thing as well. Fancy smancy. Speaking of ninjas, sticking with
kind of,
I mean, these are almost identical. They're both equally historically accurate, I feel.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Potbelly miniatures in going into sort of the realms of the historical rather than the pulp are on Kickstarter with a small campaign that is looking to raise funds, which I've already done, for a set of the Emishi, who are the horse-mounted archer warriors of northern Japan. So interestingly, these are the kind of feared, deadly horse archers from around the 8th century that then inspired the way that samurai would fight on horseback in the future. So the way that you see them firing their bows and fighting on horseback in sort of like feudal Japan period and all that kind of thing later on is where that all comes from. And these peoples here who are the Emishi. The miniatures for this, I think, would be a dead good fit for the likes of Test of Honor or Ronin if you wanted to throw them in. I think the actual sculpts work really nicely with the aesthetic of those, but I think they'd also work with a lot of the other 28mm stuff that's come out recently, especially the likes of stuff from Fireforge. So if you've got some of their 28mm stuff, these would be a really nice one to go alongside. Obviously, they're from a slightly earlier period, but it's something that you could drop in and use them as tribesmen and all that kind of thing anyway.
Yeah.
You get the option to choose between STL files or physical miniatures, which are all printed in on their 9K printers. So it's pretty high quality stuff anyway. And there are a couple of different sets for you to choose from. The first of them is a set of 8 different types of horse archers that come along with 4 different horse types. And then to mirror that, you can get 8 types of foot archers that then sit alongside them. So if you want to use them in games where you can dismount and stuff, you've got that nice option. Although, of course, if you're just going to be playing a more compact skirmish game where you don't necessarily need the horses, just use the foot archers and drop them into your games as well. They've also done a set of noble horse archers as well. So these would have been your clan lords and all that kind of stuff back in the day. So you've got 4 noble horse archers alongside 4 noble foot archers as well. And you get the awesome looking sculpts there. The style with the katana. Oh my God, it's so good. The poses.
I love them.
I love them.
Yeah.
They're so nice.
Not a period I know anything about.
Yeah, I didn't either. Yeah, I was like, this is an interesting one, a new one. So, yeah, it's fun to see it pop up.
Blah, 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 blah. Scrolly. Chap. I'll do that after. You're not the boss of me. Feel your luck. But yeah. Yeah, I know a bit about the feudal Japanese period when things change remarkably. Obviously, much earlier. However, if you think about things like the Ikuiki, where sort of bandits and monks and the peasants revolt, and looking at these guys in their sort of plainer robes, big bushy beards, hairy buggers, but still wielding katanas and bows and the like. So even if you're not particularly going for the 8th, 9th century Japanese, I think you could still find a home for these in later feudal periods as well. Yeah. And that will be my excuse when I click that pledge now bit after I close this window. And you can't stop me.
Well, John's bought something in the show, so I suppose it'll be the same. Yeah. And I'm going to be buying Underworlds when it comes out in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, I'm going to be buying underwear. Oh no, I've pressed the button. Say nothing. Act casual.
But yes, Emishi on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah,
16 days left. Also, not necessarily ever heard of Potbelly Miniatures before either, so I'm going to be looking into them in a little bit more detail.
Yes.
So maybe we'll come and revisit them for something in the future.
Oh, I think so, because that is their second campaign they've done. Very low funding goal, and they've already hit it, so you know you're going to be getting the stuff, which is good. And it'll just be a case of seeing where they go from there. But yeah, I like it. It's different. I like different. Yes. It's like having puffin. You know, have I ever had puffin before? No, but now I'm intrigued. So I haven't touched this button. I've not done that. We're not here.
Wait, Jerry, wait.
Next time, Gadget, next time. Right. It will have to be next time because we've spoke for long enough and we're about to go. Which means we'll see you all again next Friday for more of the same post our N5 coverage. If that's too far away and you want to join us, come over on Sunday morning for the XLBS, where Warren will be joining us. Hi, John. You editing that show? Love you. We'll be talking about our hobby and yours, so you can have a gentle meander on a Sunday morning, the best way to wake up. If you're not already a cultist, you can have a 30-day trial for free, gratis, won't cost you a bit. Come in, kick the tires, see what else is on the site. Otherwise, we'll see you next Friday. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.